everybody, my name's Sherry McCachran. I'm a life coach and a health coach, and my mission in life is to help people achieve the lives of their dreams. So thanks for tuning into this video. I have a very special guest with me today, which I'm really excited about. This is Mr. Gary John, and he is the owner of Quantum Holistic Arts, which is a company that offers a whole host of holistic healing services to his clients. So he does some really cool things like meditation and meditation training, Reiki energy healing, hypnotherapy, rebalancing. He's also a life coach himself. And so, Gary, thank you so much for being with me today on this, partnering with me on this video. Would you like to share with the audience a little bit more about yourself, your background, how you ended up in this really interesting organization where you're helping so many people?
Absolutely, Sherry. Thank you very much for inviting me along today. Yeah, I came into Fort McMurray in 1984. I was already working in the oil fields for about 23 years. Prior to that, I was very fortunate. I worked in 6 countries in 4 continents and ended up in Fort McMurray at the Syncrude oil plant. And as soon as I got here, I started to open up spiritually. I had a few different experiences which helped me to recognize that I wasn't at that point in my life living what I wanted to do. So I began to experiment. I began to go to lots of different retreats and workshops all around North America. And I finally came to the decision that I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So I have a great belief in guides looking after us in this lifetime.
Spiritual guides?
Spiritual guides, thank you, yeah. Good point. So then I threw it out to them to say, okay, I really need your help. I know which general path I would like to go in, but I really need you to help me to show me a more specific path, which they did. And I had the offer to go to this incredible 26-week training course. We worked 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. 50% of it was to become a certified massage therapist, and the other 50% was devoted completely to personal growth. So we had all kinds of exercises we did over that 26 weeks. We had guest speakers, we had people come in taking us for 3 and 4 day workshops. At one point they locked us in this beautiful log cabin up on the lake by Nelson in BC. And this gentleman took us for 4 straight days and turned us inside out and put us back together again. And we learned an awful lot about ourselves. So by the time I'd finished this training course, I was certified to be a holistic practitioner. And I came back into Fort McMurray and opened up my business on the 1st of April in 1992. And I've been doing it and expanding my own base ever since.
Amazing. What a huge transformation from working in like process operations in a plant, I'm assuming in an oil sands company, to like completely in this holistic health field where you're helping so many of your clients improve their lives.
Yes, absolutely, quite a change. The only thing I say is that I used to walk in oil and now I put it on people's bodies.
That's the connection.
It is the connection, yeah.
Awesome. So the reason why I wanted to partner with Gary on this video is because I myself am a holistic health coach. And what I really want to help my clients understand is the connection between the mind, the spirit, and the body. So for me, when I work with a client to help them improve or achieve their health goals, a lot of people think that to improve our physical bodies, we just really need to focus on diet and exercise, maybe sleep and water and those types of things. And that's definitely where my passion lies and where I spend the most of my time educating myself. But I've come to understand a lot greater that if we want true physical health in the most utmost sense, that the spiritual, mind, emotional piece is critical. And so I think a lot of people miss that connection. And I used to kind of be one of those things where it's just like, okay, like I can handle a lot of stress because I'm tough and because I'm just going to work harder, and I've got that, like, I'm disciplined and I'm tough, and I'll be able to handle the mental piece, and it will have no effect on my body. I'll just go and do the physical things, and there's no connection.
Yeah.
However, I come to find in my studies and my training and my experience with people that it's actually not the case at all. And so because I'm no expert in the areas of, emotional, well, say maybe spiritual health and emotional well-being, especially managing stress, because it's something I've been really guilty of, incorporating a lot of stress into my lives. I wanted to partner with yourself, who's an expert in helping people identify ways that they can, things that they can incorporate into their lives without having to quit their jobs or leave their families or, take out all the other things that they're already committed to, and to achieve this sort of holistic state of health.
Absolutely, Sherry. I totally agree with you. As we know, the dictionary definition of the word holistic is that which appertains to whole or complete systems, rather than breaking things down into their individual components. So just for an example, if somebody trips over and breaks the leg, then obviously the medical profession come into effect straight away. They fix what needs fixing, and you probably have a 6-week or an 8-week recovery. That's wonderful, wonderful people. Unfortunately, that's only half the story. The other half is, what about me, myself, who maybe, well, obviously you probably be off work for 6 to 8 weeks. You may lose money financially because of it. You may become depressed, you may become angry, you may become anxious, simply because of the situation that's happened. So whilst we're treating the medical side of it, which is wonderful, we need to do that, we also need to look at the other side of it as well, the mind-body connection. Some people may be able to go through it very quickly because they think along those lines that, okay, this is only an accident, it's a small blip in my life, I'll be able to get through it quite quickly, and there's not a real need for it. And other people may go into quite a depression or a spiral down. So that's where the holistic side of things come in. It's to look at all aspects of the life as a whole, rather than breaking them down into individual components. And of course, there's many, many things that we can do to help somebody in that field. There's lots of different things, like yoga, for instance, like meditation, like life coaching, or even sitting and talking with somebody at Tim Hortons, having a coffee and getting out all of your anxieties. We're not asking them to become a psychiatrist for us, we're just asking them maybe to listen.
So powerful.
So, yeah, putting all these components together is going to help the individual on some level,
Yeah, I love it. So true. So a few weeks ago, I did a video on the physiological effects of stress on our bodies. So I think, the sad thing today is, like, we live in this world that promotes a stressful life, or at least that's my opinion.
Oh yeah.
We almost wear our busy lives or our stressful lives like as a badge of honor. Like, if we're super busy, we must be super important, or if we're super busy, we must be really successful, or we're those people that can get lots done because we just take on. And I think that we need to have a bit of a societal shift, because, again, back to that mind-body connection, people don't necessarily know that if you're living in a chronic state of stress, or that fight or flight response where your body thinks you're in physical danger, it has a dramatic impact on the way we digest food, the way our immune system works, the way we burn fat, and the way our reproductive system works. And so I kind of left the video. The video was about, okay, this is how it affects us physically, but I didn't have a lot of solutions for people. So, and I don't like to leave my messages like, well, this is the way that it is, and we just got to deal with it. And the reality of it is that people do have a lot of commitment. So sometimes by saying you have to reduce stress in your life, that's actually just something that's adding more stress to people's lives, because it's like, yeah, I know, I get it, but I really don't know what I can do about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is why I really wanted to bring you into this, because I have, and I've been extremely guilty of this myself in my past life, and I'm working to, really balance my life and slow down a little bit wherever I can. And so now I'm a student of Gary's meditation classes where he's teaching a large group of us how to meditate. And so I thought, maybe you can talk about some things like meditation, maybe some belly breathing, or any other tips that people can sort of incorporate easily into their lives that can help them get out of this fight or flight response, even if the stressors are still there. What are some things that we can do that can kind of like guide our bodies in that way?
Absolutely, Sherry. I believe that one of the keys to living as low stress life as possible is not to concentrate on the stress itself and say, I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that. It's to kind of trick our conscious minds and come over here somewhere and start to do some de-stressing things, which will affect this. But if we spend what we focus on is what we're going to get. So if we try and focus on the stress and de-stressing, we're going to probably bring more of it into our lives, like you very wisely said. So what we do is we leave that over there and we go over here, and in the instance of meditation, a lot of folks believe that we have to go and sit in the corner like a little Buddha.
That's what I thought. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah. And that is, of course, one way of doing it, and it's very good. But what we like to do, especially when people are beginners at meditation, is to bring them in, obviously the same as everything else, at the base level, and show them a few techniques which they can take away with them 5 minutes after the class is finished and start incorporating it into their lives. And as you were wisely saying, physiologically, our breathing is one of the things we can actually control, and it will bring our stress levels down. If you ever want to try this, and anybody's got one of those blood pressure cuffs at home, just strap it on and punch the numbers in and see what you are, and then spend 5 minutes doing a meditation, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening to somebody, and then take your blood pressure again. And this will physically prove to you that just with 5 minutes meditation, you can definitely lower your blood pressure. So imagine if you can do that, not all day long, obviously, but you can do it at, say, 3-minute intervals 3 times a day. It will help your blood, it will help your pressure, it'll help your heart to come down to a level where it's not negatively affecting your body.
That's amazing. And so interesting, because I was actually just having a conversation with the gentleman I work with who he was saying, he has blood pressure issues, and he's like, I have to reduce my salt. I have to reduce my salt. I have to reduce my salt. And so, which is a really good strategy.
Absolutely.
But he was in this box about the salt. It's the salt, and as soon as I stopped taking my salt, my blood pressure dropped. And I was like, yeah, totally. And I was like, have you ever thought about meditation? And he's like, no, I haven't thought about meditation. But that's interesting that you use that example, because it's a way for people to actually measure and see. Because sometimes it's hard to really tell. Or you can feel better, but if you have a measurement tool, that's really great.
Yeah. Me choosing to be a male in this lifetime, I'm the show me version. So when I get something like that, which is a physical thing, then I tend to dive in a little bit better. But one of the things about meditation is that it's not as hard as everybody believes it to be.
Yes.
And we don't have to have any special equipment. We don't have to spend thousands of dollars trying to learn how to do it. In fact, after a couple of sessions, most people learn to do it themselves. And as I say, if you can go onto YouTube, or I put a few, not videos, but audios out of meditation. We all meditate on a daily basis, whether we think we do or not. For instance, when we go to sleep, we call it dreaming, night dreaming. During the day, we very often daydream. In other words, we'll be sitting at our desk or driving or whatever it is we're doing, and we'll just look out of the window, and all of a sudden we'll be back in Hawaii or Mexico or wherever it was when we were having a really nice time. And before you know it, 5 minutes has gone by, and you've remembered swimming in the ocean with your children. You've remembered the sound of the waves that come crashing in. You remember the sunshine on your body. You'll remember maybe some music, having a glass of wine or beer or whatever it may be. And all of that has helped your body, the muscle memory in your body, to go back to where it was 12 months prior to that, when you were on the beach in Hawaii. So you've actually been meditating the whole time without calling it by that name. You've been daydreaming. And if you were to actually, in that moment, check in with yourself, you'd realize that your muscles are completely relaxed, because you got this far off look in your eye, you're daydreaming about this beautiful place. So what happens if you could do that consciously? What happens if, instead of waiting for that to hit you once every month or so, what happens if you sat down and said, you know, for the next 5 minutes, I'm locking the door, I'm switching the phone off, there's no children around, I'm just going to allow myself to get into that state. And it could be through listening to music, should we say, of nature. It could be listening to the birds singing, or it could be listening to the waves and the dolphins and the whales. Just do that for 5 minutes. Try it a few times before you recognize, hey, I'm a meditator.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think what's important is to, and this is just coming from me, is to find what really relaxes you. So like, I love the sound of the ocean because I'm, you know, I grew up on an island. The ocean is very important to me. But sometimes like maybe birds singing don't, like, annoy me. I don't know why. But like, so I think sometimes when I used to think about meditation, it would be like, oh, I don't know, things that I couldn't really connect with. But now after having some experience, it's like, okay, this is my experience. I'm going to tailor it to whatever really resonates with me. Like, I know some of your guided experiences, like the beach ones resonate more with me than the log cabin ones.
Sure.
You know, so it can be whatever you want, whatever that gives you that feeling of like, oh yeah, that was so nice.
Perfect. And when we do meditation, we also try and instill in the students that there is no right and there is no wrong to meditating. There only is your way. So as you say, if this doesn't work for you over here, that's okay, because it'll work for that person. You go over here where you need to go. And generally it has a lot to do with our upbringing, like you say, whether we lived on an island or whether we lived in the Rockies. So it would mean something totally different. But yes, find out what suits you the most and stick with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And another trick that I learned actually a little while ago that was so simple, in terms of, and I'd like to get your perspective on it, because I was following this other doctor who's really studies the whole fight or flight response and the physiological effects of the body. And so what she teaches is the easiest hack, and this one is really simple, is just belly breathing.
Absolutely. And
so I'm going to tell you what my version of belly breathing is, which is basically, and for most of us this is a little counterintuitive, because particularly women, but men also, not just women, we're trained to hold our bellies in because we want to have that like slim look. So what belly breathing is, it's so simple. It's basically when you breathe, you push your belly all the way out, almost like, I describe it as like your belly is a balloon. And so instead of breathing like this, where your shoulders raise, you breathe where your belly pushes out, almost like to as big as it can go. And then you just repeat that in and out slowly. And what she teaches is that will take you out of you cannot be in the fight or flight response when you're belly breathing.
Absolutely perfect. Very wise lady.
Yeah, amazing. She's amazing.
No, it's quite right, because as you know, we've got two parts to our brain. We've got a conscious and a subconscious. And whilst the conscious is being taken care of, thinking about something, then the ego can't get in the way and say, hey, I want to do something. So you're quite right. We can only do one thing at a time. Sometimes the other thing comes in and takes us away, but in that moment, we're only doing one thing. And to me, I've been very, very fortunate. I was in Thailand with the Buddhist monks for a little while. They were showing us their techniques, and I went to India to a meditation ashram for 5 weeks, and they showed us their take on it. But it all starts off with the breathing.
Right.
Once we are consciously breathing, then we can bring our stress levels down amazingly quickly. And again, there is a physiological reason for it. When you breathe in, we want to get the full amount of oxygen into our lungs. And when we exhale, we want to clear the lungs of all the stale breath. So our diaphragm, which is sitting right here, is actually a unique thing which we can employ to do this. So when we breathe in and we push our bellies out, we're actually dropping the diaphragm down, which will allow the lungs to fill up 100%. And when we breathe in, when we exhale and we bring our bellies back in, we're pushing our diaphragm up here, which helps to push against the lower lobes of our lungs to expel all the oxygen. So by, as we call it, belly breathing, by pushing your belly out when you inhale and bringing your belly back in when you exhale, you're actually allowing 100% of the air and the oxygen into your body to do the job it's supposed to do, go into all the vital organs, our brain, etc., etc.
Amazing. I did not know that connection to it. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So I think this is really great. So I think for anybody interested in learning how to, who maybe have a lot, like a stressful life, but not really sure what to do with it, these are some really simple techniques to get started. If you're interested, you can of course do lots more research, and you can. And Gary's got a whole bunch of information on his website, what's the website, Gary?
It's quantumholisticarts.ca.
Quantumholisticarts.ca. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So amazing. So another piece that I really wanted to talk about is spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when the word spirituality brings up many different things for many different people, some people might think of religion. Some people might think of kind of like spirits or something that's kind of like woo-woo that they don't really understand, that's way out there.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of information that people could really benefit from understanding how important having a spiritual practice is. And so when I think of spirituality, now I was raised a Christian, and I was raised in a church. So when I think about spirituality and religion, is that there's a spiritual piece to religion, but you don't need religion to have to be spiritual. And when I think of what spirituality means to me, and this is just my personal belief, it's kind of, I break it down into two things. Number one, what are we put on this earth for? Like, what's the reason for it all? And a lot of times I think, sometimes I'm like, do we just get up and go to work and work all day and come home and clean the house and get groceries and make dinner and watch TV and go to bed and then do it all over again, like over and over and over again? And so sometimes my life feels like that, and sometimes it feels so exciting and so amazing when I'm feeling inspired and motivated to be like, I can do anything and I was put here for a reason and I'm feeling really aligned with my purpose. So that's like one component of my spirituality. And then the other side is like, what happens when we die? Is it do we just live here for 30 or 40 or 100 years and then die and that's it? Or is there something bigger? Is there something greater? Yeah. And I think whatever it is that we believe as individuals affects our life and our overall health and wellness in such a profound way that it just changes our whole experience on this earth or after this earth, whatever happens after that. So again, that's just my personal beliefs. How about what you believe or what you teach or what you see with your clients?
Well, very similar to what you just said, Sherry. It can be a little bit of a minefield when we talk about these things, simply because everybody has their own belief system.
Totally. We're not telling anybody what to think.
Absolutely. And that's something we share for instance, when we start Reiki classes or Reiki sessions, is to share with people, bring your belief system into the room. Because when you are connected to whatever it is on a spiritual level, then it's only going to enhance you. It's not going to hamper you in any way whatsoever. It's just going to magnify things in a language that you understand, a language you may have been brought up with or something that you've chosen to take on later in life. But as far as things like, is there an afterlife? Of course, that's a whole other workshop.
Yeah.
I haven't studied it in the sense of done a thesis on it, but I've definitely come across it many, many times in many different areas. And I think as spiritual beings having a human experience rather than human beings having a spiritual
I
experience.
love that. You said that the other day.
I believe that we are here for a much greater thing than our humanness. And when we come to talk about things like what's my purpose in life, sometimes that's shown to us very early on in life. I've actually met people who came in, who were born knowing their purpose, and maybe like a few people like myself, I was in my 40s, early 40s when I first realized what my path was in this lifetime. I think it comes to us when we start opening up on these levels, when we start, as you say, not thinking only of our family, our jobs, our finances, our houses, our careers, which is a necessary thing. But it's when we kind of go beyond that and think, is there more to life than this? And the spiritual, as you say, rather than the religious, is more going within ourselves and finding out about ourselves, finding out about what I really believe in, what really juices me up in the morning to get out of bed, and putting lots of effort into that. And generally we open up then and it's either shown to us or we remember what our passion is and what we're here to do. So I kind of have a connotation that that's the spiritual life. Yes, of course, you can go very deep and talk about other beings, other realms, etc. But on the sort of regular everyday basis, I believe it's looking inside of ourselves to see the goodness within ourselves, to see the beauty along with what we may call a negativity, and to work through some of that stuff as much as we possibly can. And it's amazing what we find when we do the work.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite the journey. I can,
Absolutely.
or from my own personal experience, being someone who, you know, discovered my purpose much later in life and struggled for several decades kind of trying to figure out what it was, that it can't, you know, some people know it early and some people don't. And the reason what I see with my clients and in my own personal experience with my health coaching is that if we have no sense of purpose or no sense of what it's all about, that spiritual piece, it can really affect so many different areas of our lives. So, for example, if somebody comes home and they just at the end of the week they feel burnt out because they've been working at a job, they're very busy, they haven't been taking care of themselves, and they don't feel like they're aligned with what they're doing, they will need to soothe somehow. So that self-care, that self-soothing, and we can choose positive forms of self-care or negative forms of self-care. So for somebody who chooses to eat or to maybe drink alcohol or take drugs or spend money, you know, it's all in the purpose of self-soothing.
Absolutely.
But it can cause all these negative impacts to many other different aspects of our lives, whether it's our relationships, our career, obviously our physical health. And so if we don't have a true sense of that, well, a lot of people, myself included, can go around really blind. And so when I say, they come to me and they say, okay, like help me improve my eating habits, it's very difficult. I can tell somebody what to do, but if they're choosing food as a soothing mechanism and because of other aspects of their lives that aren't in alignment, me telling them to eat something differently is not solving the root problem. So I try to encourage people to find, or at least explore or think about what their purpose is or what brings them joy and fulfillment. Because when you find joy and fulfillment, a lot of other things can just, the problems will just disappear. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You seen that with your clients?
Absolutely, Sherry. And like we were saying before, if we concentrate on the issue, then generally we attract more of it. So we need to go over here, find your joy, find what pleases you in life and work towards that. And a useful tool that I've found, and it's the start point for everything in our lives, is that we need to make a break. If we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got.
So true.
So we need to make a little bit of a break between what we always do and what we can do. Now, sometimes that means cutting some time out for ourselves. Usually a little bit of distance from our daily lives triggers and opens other things. So whether it's, I know, very busy lives, you know, with children and with jobs and maybe both people working in the family and bills to pay, totally understand. But I love this, the old Chinese saying which says, time is all mine until I choose to give it away.
I love it. You said this at our last meditation, and I wrote it in my, I have this in my phone, I keep a list of like things that are brilliant, and I wrote it on my whiteboard in my office as well. So everyone has been coming in and commenting on that, and like, oh yeah, that's so true. I love it.
The Chinese, as we know, are very wise people.
Yes, yes.
So when sometimes I have a client in for counselling and they say, well, look, I'm so busy, I haven't got a minute to myself. I absolutely understand where you're coming from. Absolutely understand. What would it take for you to have 5 minutes every day for yourself? And when we look at it from that angle, it could be, you know, in the morning when you wake up, you're going to start getting the kids ready for school, you're going to start getting yourself ready for work, whatever it may be, is, okay, now this might be something quite simplistic. Can I go and lock myself in the bathroom for 5 minutes? The kids aren't going to be waking up yet. My partner isn't going to be. I'm going to lock myself in the bathroom for 5 minutes and I'm going to meditate. I'm going to plan my day. I'm going to take a break from what's going on here and begin to give myself time and space. And that 5 minutes could very well set you up for the rest of the day. It's amazing the positive energy. And then once you've done that for a little while, you might say, you know something, this might sound very simplistic now, but it works. I might be able to go out for a walk for 10 minutes. Or I might be able to go and do some yoga or whatever you choose to do. Once you begin to cut this time out for yourself, it's amazing how much time you do find, because you're employing it in a very positive way, which is going to come back to you tenfold. So it's making that decision, like we say, the first step of any journey is the hardest, is making that decision to start cutting some time out for you because you're worth it. You're giving so much of your life to everybody else that sometimes you've lost yourself in the shuffle. No two ways about it. So just for now, just for today, cut 5 minutes out for yourself and just see the difference and build on it.
I love it. It's so true. And I think for those of us that are so busy, that it's just exactly what you said. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to start with, you know, huge monumental changes in your life. Start with something small that's going to make you feel good. And that feeling good will cause momentum that can like ultimately shift your whole life over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I love it. Such good advice. Such good advice, Gary. Yeah, so anything else? So I think we talked about a lot in this video. Anything else that you'd like to share maybe about services that you offer that we haven't touched on, or?
Well, thank you very much for that opportunity. Yeah. Over my business life since '92, I've challenged myself about every 3 years to get certified in a new modality. I don't do them all the time, but whatever the client is looking for, hopefully I can mix and match. The latest one I got was certified in hypnotherapy, which I went to the American Institute of Hypnotherapy in San Francisco to do my training. And I found that segues into everything that I do anyway. I didn't realize how much the subconscious mind was our new best friend. Our brain is made up of conscious and subconscious mind. Only 20% of our mind is conscious. So all this stuff that's going on in the background, the chatter, that is only 20%. So we have a whole new range of our new best friend, which is our subconscious mind, which is 80%, sitting over here, waiting for us to tap into it. So I find that hypnotherapy is very good. I just want to stress one thing, which is the first question that nearly everybody asks me when they come along for a session, and that is, will you be in control of me?
Yes,
Okay.
I've thought of that too.
So no, we don't make you bark like a dog and cluck like a chicken. No, we leave that to other folks. What it is we help you to get so very, very relaxed. You lie in a nice reclining chair and your mind calms down so much. You get into the alpha brainwave state that we can help you to access your subconscious mind, and maybe for you to release some of the tapes that have been playing in there, probably from childhood, could have been put in there by anybody, and they're playing in the background 24/7. So they're reiterating all the negative energy that you don't want it anymore. So you've come along for a session, we help you to release those tapes, and then we'll implant tapes in there appertaining to what it is you're trying to do. And in hypnotherapy, we work with everything from A to Z. You name it, right across the board. And it's basically the same format. So when you share with us what it is you're coming along for, then we'll have tapes, if you will, to implant in there, which are going to help you in a very positive way to overcome or to stop doing whatever the behavior is that you wish to stop in that moment. It's a wonderful experience. A lot of people fall fast asleep during this. It's a 1 hour session, but that doesn't matter because your subconscious mind hears everything that's being said. And some people have come back to me and said, well, I've had great leaps in stopping what it is I was trying to do, but I can't quite understand because I was asleep for most of the time. So the subconscious mind is,
subconscious does.
When you come to the episode of what it is you're trying not to do during regular life, your subconscious mind kicks in and starts playing the tapes.
When
and
you say tapes, you mean messages.
Messages.
Yeah, I get it.
That's good. Thank you for the clarity.
Some of our younger audience might not the reference to what a tape is.
Gotcha. Yes. We call them, in the business, we call it post-hypnotic suggestions rather than tapes. Or So thank you for clearing that up. Yeah.
And I think that's, and okay, I'm so glad you touched on that because I am 100% going to come and have some of those sessions with you, because one of the things that I like to work with my clients and with myself when I'm trying to overcome something is those limiting beliefs.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the things that we believe are 100% true, that if somebody else doesn't believe are 100% true, are like miles away ahead of us.
Absolutely.
And it's so real for us. But I love how you said that subconscious mind is 80%, because it's the one talking to us all the time. And whether it's about money, it's about relationships, it's about jobs, it's about how your body looks, well, anything.
Absolutely.
Like you said, A to Z. It's in there, and it's, being driven from that. That is, I can't wait. Okay, I'm going to do some sessions with Gary and then share my experiences if I feel comfortable being very vulnerable.
Yeah, and it's just to put a small aside in there, as you know from your life coaching, everything that we talk about with our clients is 100% confidential.
Yes.
No judgment, nothing at all. We're only there to help the client to heal, whatever that means to them.
And propel forward.
Get
what we want in life. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. Ooh, I'm excited about this. Anything else? So we talked on meditation, hypnotherapy, spiritual practice.
I think that's a great start point.
Yeah.
Most of us are going into this cold, in the sense that one day we wake up and say, hey, my life isn't really going where I want it to go. So like you said before, we can't bite off more than we can chew at the beginning. There's no point trying to have a whole regime which we're going to fail in simply because we have too much planned. So starting off slowly and building and building and building, it's amazing. All of a sudden we reach this point where everything blows wide open and we realize that we can do a whole bunch of things. Yeah.
It's so beautiful to see that happen. Yeah. Okay, so Gary, thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate your time and all your wisdom and experience.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed doing this.
Me too. Yeah. So guys, if you're looking to find more information about Gary, his business is www.quantumholistics.ca. And if that doesn't pop up in your Google search, Gary John, Garyjohn, will come up, and you can find him and explore his website. He also has a Facebook page. Now, is that under Gary John or Holistic?
My personal one, Gary John, but I also have Quantum Holistic Arts Facebook page.
Okay, so you can find him there as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope this was helpful, and you have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.